And we're live.
Boom, boom, boom. Good morning, Nashville Propel Facebook. Welcome to our Access Denied show. We got a very special show to get today. We got a special guest, someone that is dear to my heart and to John's heart first. So, John. But anyway, she mine now. But welcome everybody. We're gonna wait a few seconds and wait for everybody to get on here. Look forward to seeing your comments. So make sure that you like the page, that you share this live video amongst your friends, your family, and amongst your groups. So welcome to our Access Denied show. John, you want to kick us off?
Yep. And I have the special pleasure of introducing the two, and I'll start with Sonya. You guys know Sonya. Sonya serves as the Executive Director of National Propel, parents requiring our public education system to lead. And today we have a special cousin on the line, all the way from West Tennessee, North Memphis, that is, and Sarah Carpenter. Sarah is the founder, one of the founders, and the Executive Director of Memphis Lift. Memphis Lift, similar to National Propel, is just an organization that really believes that parents not only deserve a seat at the table, but we need to be leading the table when it comes to our kids. And with that, Sarah, did you have anything special to say?
Just good morning and thanks for inviting me. I'm in the middle of doing a virtual with my first grader grandbaby, and it's tough, y'all. Oh, God.
Now, when did y'all start?
We started June the 1st on my birthday, 2015.
Yeah, June 1st is a special day.
It is, in so many ways.
When did y'all start the virtual school?
I got my granddaughter here, my first grader today, the first day. Oh, God.
So she just filling in the gap.
Yeah, I'm trying to work. It's tough, and I can imagine what parents going through trying to help them on the computer and do their work at the same time, especially if you have the privilege from working from home, but it's still tough.
Yeah.
Still tough. And I'll dig more into that. Like, how are you holding up? This is the second week of virtual school, right? Like, things are getting started. And you talked about your granddaughter. Now, I heard that you got 15 grandbabies and one great grandbaby.
I do.
For you just in this virtual time?
It's tough. Like I said, I mean, just one of them has started. I think the rest of them getting ready to get started. We got 2 going off to college, and they doing college virtual.
Wow.
So it's different. It's totally different. And I'm like, God, I'm praying for these parents. Today was my first day, and I'm about to pull my hair out. I mean, chasing, running here, say, I need this, I need that. And you trying to keep her focused on the computer. It's tough. And somebody got to be sitting right there with those babies, especially. Now, the older kids may be a little different, but the younger kids, you got to sit there with them.
Yeah, I agree. And Sonya, you talked about your first day last week. How have you been holding up?
Man, it has gotten better. I went from tears to getting in folks' business. You know what I mean? I done had to get a teacher a business, the business this morning. So I went from losing it to, being about this business with my son, especially. I got a text message yesterday from his teacher, science teacher, and it was the same issue as last year, right? Like, he doesn't engage that much. Well, it's his personality, it's a skill set that we have to build. And so, I know I'm getting into it, but like that, I think that's really like another reason why we need individualized learning plans for children. Because the same thing applied last year needs to apply to this year. So I have to start over constantly with educators, with getting my son on track. And so we're always going backwards before we can go forward. So that's where we are.
That's a good point, and I know one that we're going to dig into coming up. But Sarah, as you're on this show, and a lot of our Middle Tennessee, Nashville, Davidson County people don't know you, can you just talk about some of the successes that the Memphis Lift has had in the last 2 to 3 years?
Oh, God. Year before last, we had Dr. Howard Fuller as our guest speaker at our parent summit. I think it was our 4th parent summit, and it was awesome. I mean, we had about 200 parents at the parent summit, and Dr. Fuller gave it to him raw and uncut about what parents need to be doing and how we need to be pushing for our children. And God, the pandemic, we didn't even think about a pandemic. And right now, I feel like we need to be pushing even harder. I mean, our children, because like Sonia said, man, you got to know where these kids are. And I'm sitting back there with Jason this morning. I'm like, I'm still lost because if they don't do an individual learning plan, how can we help her at home? And I'm just crazy enough to believe that if the school and the parents work together, if you let us know where our kids are, the parents can help them get where they need to be. And when the doors open back up and when they can go in a brick and mortar school, we might be where we need to be with our kids, I feel like. So we need to push for this individual learning plan in a major way. But right now, nobody know where the kids are.
Yeah,
right.
Spot on.
Right. And talk about that, then I'm going to go to Sonia, but talk about kind of your relationship, right, in this political education landscape. Can you talk about your relationship with the school board, the superintendent, the teachers union, and just other education stakeholders, and how have you had to navigate those relationships?
God, it's been tough. It's been a journey, I can tell you. We started out not so good, but we met with our superintendent and some people in his cabinet about 3 weeks ago, a month ago. We also met with some board members, Kevin Woods and Althea Green. We heard back from Michelle McKessick. I talked to Dorsey Coleman, and I'm just feeling like it's at a standstill. I haven't heard back from anybody. So I want to think that they working on some stuff, but I don't know. It's hard to say. And I really believe when you sign up to run for office, you're a public servant. I consider myself every morning when I wake up, I'm a servant. I'm not here to serve myself. I'm here to serve others. And that's the mindset our politicians got to wake up with, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just being honest. I don't know where we are because I haven't heard from anybody.
Yep. And Sonia, can you talk about some of the relationships that you have built just with the education landscape with some of the school board members and community members?
Yeah, I mean, I think COVID-19 really helped us to cultivate some of our relationships with our school board members. And like Miss Sarah said, when you first get started, I mean, you got to hit it like the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And so, a few of the school board members was like, you guys, y'all came out, it was like, dang, but now, I know y'all all right. And it was like, just imagine being a mama and the house is on fire, right? You ain't gonna just say, the house is on fire. No, you're gonna say, the house is on fire. Get my children out. And so, they understand the sense of urgency and the sense of the loss of hope, that parents had and how we are buckling down and we're fighting and we're activating. So, they understand our movement better and it was hard. So we've been able to talk about our parent manifesto, which, came about with leaders like Miss Sarah leading the charge across the nation, where we all came together and really looked at the effects of COVID-19, but not just that, but how it's been, right? Nothing has changed. And we all decided we can't go back to the way things were. So we've been meeting with Christian and Frida, and we've met with Jeannie Puku Walker. We've met with Emily Masters. And then, Miss Sarah, she gave us the opportunity to meet with some state legislators, and we've been able to build some relationships with Vincent Dixie, who was just reelected. So we're really parents are really now getting an opportunity to have a voice, and I just hope and pray that continues, and we continue on a good path.
And Sonia, as you were saying that, I'm sitting here, and y'all, last night I literally cried, and probably crying about a lot of stuff that's going on in the Black community, but just for people not to even get back with you, that hurt my soul, y'all. We talking about children's lives here. We talking about children that parents don't know where they are. They talk about a summer learning slide. We got a pandemic learning slide. Y'all, it's sad. And I say, when I go vote, I'm looking for you to to push what's best for my community.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this to all our school board members, even if you're not in my district, when you vote on that school board, you vote for a whole Shelby County. You vote for a whole city of kids.
Yeah.
And so that means you all of our school board members, whether you want to say that or not, but I feel like you all of our board members. And not just that, y'all, we met with the Black Caucus, and went over the manifesto with them. And the crazy thing about it and sad thing to me is that some of this stuff they already doing, but nobody want to talk about the individual learning plan. And we changed it to my child's learning path. Still the same thing, but we changed the name to My Child's Learning Path, and parents need to know where their kids are. Point blank.
Yeah, and you know what, Miss Sarah, like to speak to that. This is, I tell you what pisses me off, and I'm just gonna be signing. What pisses me off is we have heard for so many years that parents don't care. Parents, they're not engaging just because we don't really have the time to be on a PTO and a PTA because we work in 2 and 3 jobs, right? And so you're organizing parents by the numbers in Memphis. We're doing the same thing here in Nashville. And finally, we are activating parents, and we still having trouble getting what we need. So now the excuse is, it can't be that we're not engaging. Now it's going to be something else. Like, well, we don't have the money. So it's, you cannot educate children and make excuses at the same time, and we're tired of it. It's like we activating the parents, we're moving them to action, but we still have to.
I'm a big crybaby this morning. Shit.
Still got too many roadblocks, man. And it's time for those roadblocks and those barriers to be removed, man. We gonna tear them down. Like, enough is enough. We're not going back to 2019.
Sonia, you know what? I feel like getting in my freaking car, driving to that school board, driving around to every school, screaming with a bullhorn, we gotta save our children. As I watch Chaseman back there this morning, man, it's tough for me. So, and you touch one thing on that computer, you got to go out and go back in. It's tough, and y'all, parents need to know these things. And school start August the 31st, but Chaseman started today. Y'all, it made me sad.
Yeah,
that our children not getting what they need. And you dance around an individual learning plan when all it's going to do is help everybody. It's going to help the schools. It's going to help the home, everybody. Because guess what? Again, if we know where our kids are, we at home with them all day and all night. We can go to places online to help them get where they need to be. I just don't understand.
Yeah. And
maybe because they didn't come up with it. Maybe it's because they didn't come up with it.
Boom. Get it right there.
But let's unpack this a little bit just so you guys can give a breakdown, because I know it's some similarities, but it's a couple of differences on your plans and from your manifesto. But first, let's just shout out some people. And I'll tell you, Sarah, this is on Natural Propel's platform, but you got just as much love on here today. Shout out to Tiara, Angela Salasi. We got Miss Garrison, Tanisha. We got Shanka. We got Olivia. We got Podge, one of our alumni. We got Shaka, Jordan, who's been rocking it. James Acock, who's shouting you out. Sarah, Jeremy Brown, who's shouting you out. And then we got
Jeremy Brown. Jeremy Brown is one of them KIP students back in 02.
Wow.
I love you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
That's one of your KIP babies.
That's one of them kids I first started fighting for. Jeremy Brown. I love him to the moon and back. Such a smart, humble young man.
Yeah. So
that's something, Mister. I'm sorry, but that's something to
Jeremy
see
Brown.
Somebody that you fought for and they flourishing, man. I just can't wait until we have
Jeremy Brown, 02.
Yeah, 18 years in the making. But James Acock says, one, they go on, Miss Carpenter, excitedly, but he also says we're not going back. like he agrees with you. So can you first talk about your plan in the manifesto, Sarah, and then we'll move to Sonia?
Our plan in the manifesto, the individual learning plan. Again, the district have already given our children devices and given them hotspots. Yeah, I feel like we're not asking for a whole lot, and what the little thing we asking for, they should be jumping to give it to us. Their individual learning plan to let us know where our children are and what we need to do to help them get where they need to be. Because I don't know if school gonna even go back in.
Yeah.
If they're gonna even walk back in the building this year. So better to be safe than sorry. Just give us the individual learning plan.
Yeah. I mean, and our plan is the same. Like, you know, Ms. Sarah and them have already kind of named theirs, but it's the same principle. We want to assess our students, and we want to put them on a track of recovery and have a plan, right? This is the opportunity to me of a lifetime, because education ain't never worked for us, right? So this is like an opportunity of a lifetime to save a generation of children. And I'm gonna say that over and over again, because we repeatedly hear people talk about equity. We want equity. Baby, this is equity. This is making sure that each child gets what they need. And then for those who talk about, well, we don't have the funding, let me tell you something about this, about an individualized learning plan. It could potentially save us a whole lot of money, because what it'll do is it'll stop some of the overspending on things that children don't really need. It allows us to focus on children's strengths and their weaknesses, and put the energy into the places that they need it. It also allows them to participate in their success. Imagine a child setting the goals, some of those goals for themselves, and feeling successful. Anytime you meet a goal and you feel successful, you're going to do better. And so, I mean, it's just so many positive things that can come out of this. I mean, we got Penny Swin, our commissioner, who put together the CLIPS plan. The CLIPS. It's an individualized damn learning plan. Like, you know, it just puzzles me how we already have stuff, but then we want to break it down. And you know, like our district, you want to break it down to make it yours. Just keep it simple. And just let it provide it funding. See, this is how I know that it's good, right? They put what, $11 million attached to it, because they knew that some people wouldn't even bite to do the right thing. And that's a shame. That people, you got to, you know, put $11 million on the table, basically paying off people to do what's right for our children, what they should have been doing in the first place. They provided the money, and we still won't even take advantage of it.
Oh, I forgot we met with Commissioner Swin also.
Yeah,
we met with her also, haven't heard back from her. And if it makes you upset, and we should be pissed off, Sonia. We should be pissed off that people not getting back with us. These people get paid to render a service, okay? And they not doing it.
They go ghost.
What you say, Sonia?
They go ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so let me ask you, what have been, and I know I heard you say, Sarah, that Shelby County is starting at the end of August, but I know Nashville has started early. What have been some of the stories that you have heard from both of you of parents who have started and children who have started school? Like, I know you're working on tests, and I heard you say, but any other stories from parents that are going well, or they may need, or that you heard they may need improvement?
Actually, we got a call yesterday where Dr. Gray want to do a virtual academy with parents next week. So we gathering up at least 50 parents. He gonna help them through this. He used to be the superintendent in Jackson, Mississippi, and I think he was in Fayette County also.
Okay.
And we know Dr. Gray know what he's doing, and we gonna go on a show with him on a Zoom call with parents so he can explain and help us through this. Miss Renee, who's our choice counselor at the Memphis Lift, before we was working on stuff even before the school system started working on stuff. When school got out, Renee was giving parents schedules for their kids. I don't know how many of them use those schedules, but Renee made schedules for parents. And you know, Renee, she said, you better use this schedule. It's gonna help you out. So, I mean, Yeah, Terry working with special ed parents, and I'm just chasing not even special ed. Can you imagine special ed children? What they gonna go through, and Terry working with those parents, and Terry been holding virtual parent connection every Tuesday along with Tennessee Can. So we getting ready to start another fellowship, and we gotta redirect our fellowship to virtual learning. I feel like because parents don't understand this stuff, y'all. I'm in there with Chasen this morning. I touched the wrong button, and we went all the way out of the group of Microsoft team. And I'm sitting there panicking like, gosh, she's missing something, you know. But I got back on. I promise. I started just pushing buttons, and Can you imagine? Can you imagine an 80-year-old grandmother raising her grandchildren and don't know how to do this stuff? Can you imagine parents that's not computer literate and not knowing how to do this stuff? Just imagine. They got to put themselves in parents' place, y'all. But these teachers are great. They are great on this virtual learning, but I mean, the parents got to get it too.
Yeah, and Podge says my experience has been very scattered due to the teachers being uneducated and oblivious. And I know he's talking about MMPS. The good thing that I see from you guys, and hopefully you have learned from some of the trials and tribulations in Nashville, is I think they had about 3 days of training, which to do this online stuff, I mean, it's as we see, it's difficult. And I'm pretty sure for the teachers who have never done this before online, it's difficult for them. And so, Sonia, any stories that you have heard?
Man, I mean, there's been a multitude of stories. There's been anything from school starting and children having a laptop and no damn plug.
Peanut butter, no jelly.
Yeah.
Kool-Aid, no sugar.
Yeah, like, yeah.
No cornflakes.
Right. Ham, no burger.
Come on, man.
Like, you know, and a lot of parents are struggling with, like what Miss Sarah was talking about earlier, trying to work and then trying to guide their children at the same time, to the point of being afraid of losing their job. I hear you. We talked to a parent yesterday. We're listening. We are listening to you and actually taking this information and collecting it so that we can see a trend, right? You know, it's not good enough sometimes to call the district or to talk to the district and talk about one person. You know, we have to make sure that they understand that this is an issue. It's not just a problem that a few people have. This is a huge issue across the district where parents are trying to work. They're trying to navigate their children. God forbid if they got a child in each grade,
right?
A younger child, a middle school, and a high school child. The other thing is that they're having the children are having trouble with logging into the actual program. I think that's gotten a little better. But y'all, I'm gonna tell you the most devastating thing that we had to happen this week was to find out that a parent didn't even know that school had started. She's a non-English speaking parent who has not received communication that was effective enough for her to understand that we've actually moved into school, which is concerning to me because how many people are still waiting on a call from their school? That's scaring me. That has kept me awake over the last few nights, John.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and one shout out to Miss Kenesha Burke. Kenesha has been one of our parents, and I think she's an educator. She's been on fire. She's tuned in. I've been following her Facebook because she's really in tune to the successes, but also the challenges that's going on. And she has just been unafraid to speak up. So shout out to her, and shout out to Podge Cohort 2 coming in there. You just had a daughter who graduated. Been seeing some of the pictures you've been posting, Podge. So shout out to you. But I think one thing when we talked with a school board member earlier this week, I think it was on Friday, Sonia. She talked about how the family engagement specialists in Nashville were taken away, right? And maybe they would have been able to help this situation. I think they would have been because school is not in. And so this could have been a whole department focused on, our English language learners, making sure they're set up, but also the general population. And so that's one thing that the district may need to think about, like how do they have family engagement specialists, or what do you call them, advisors, just a support team that can really help. The technology department, the first day, it was a lot going on, but I think the second and the third day they got it right after they took a break. But now it's time to look at what we're hearing from parents, like parents need help with still logging on, still navigating through the process in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest and be candid. Like, I asked myself yesterday, I said, okay, what's different? what's really different here?
Mm-hmm.
It's same problem, different flavor. We hear from parents, we heard from parents when we were in person.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the same issues with communication, same issue, just different season. Now we're online. Parents still not knowing where their children are. Same situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for me, I say that things just haven't changed. And we give a little grace for COVID-19, but let me tell you something, my children, y'all still gonna pass our children on.
Mm-hmm.
And they still gonna be passed on, unprepared. So I can't give too much grace. Like we got to make sure that we get this right for our children. And it saddens me that a particular school board member starts the sentence off with excuses. And I told John yesterday, I'm just gonna be real. Like it sounds like taking fingernails and going across a chalkboard.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders can't start off with excuses. And I haven't heard Dr. Battle make a whole lot of excuses, but people around her, I have. And if the director of schools is not making a whole bunch of excuses and trying to get it right, then I think the supporting cast need to get their shit together. Like we got to make this work for our kids. We can't talk about, well, we don't have no money and we don't have this. Well, we still got to educate children, so fine. Because I recall a time where there was parents that sent emails and got together and got $10.1 million for some land for a new school that ain't even been used. And in our neighborhood, we got holes in the roof.
But you know what I found out? It's easy when you sitting in the ivory tower and your kids are going to the best school in the city.
Wait a minute, where Sarah? Where they at?
You know where they at in their ivory tower. They kids are in the best schools. Some of them in private schools. Some of them sitting up in $95 million schools, the new school in Collierville. It's easy for you to tell us what we need to be doing, but we know what's best for our kids. And I'm crazy enough to believe that our kids can get the same education as a private school if people want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about this, Sarah. So history has a chance to repeat itself. And so when I first heard of Sarah Carpenter, I said one of her first actions as a fed up parent and grandparent, she went in front of a school that wasn't educating her children and held up a sign and said they need to shut it down. I think a year ago, you guys, it was a charter school this time that wasn't serving kids, and you guys went to the school board to get it shut down. Like, what are some of the things that we need to do as parents to hold the system accountable?
Just what you just said, John. Stand in front of them and shut them down. Pull your kids out. If boycott worked in the 60s, it'll work today.
Mm-hmm.
They got to have our kids to have a school. And if that school is not serving our children, we need to stand in front of them until they shut down and make other parents aware of what's going on. Because parents sending their kids to school and not aware of what's going on inside those buildings. They don't know the data. They don't know if they're level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, I mean, everybody I haven't met a parent yet, and I've met all kind of parents, drug users, everything. And if you talk to those parents, they want what's best for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't met a parent in 59 years that they want their children to do better than they did. So I just haven't met them yet. Now, if you meet one similar to me, I haven't met them yet.
Right, and we're gonna snatch them up and get them right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, we gotta fight like hell. I mean, what we left wasn't even normal. I mean, they call that normal. That wasn't even normal. And we need to go back, like we need to go back like we didn't leave.
Man, that's fine what you just said. You said, because they always do say the this is the new normal. You just said what we had wasn't even normal.
That wasn't normal. It wasn't normal because our kids are behind, and we know it wasn't normal. So how in the hell you expect us to go back to something and say the new norm? Baby, this ain't normal. What we left wasn't even normal. No, ma'am. No, sir.
That's a quote for the USA Today.
And Sonia, what we're going to talk about on the upcoming show, but just your journey, right? You had a journey through the school system with 4 kids, but your last one, I read in the papers last week that, you had an experience, and it wasn't that you wasn't reaching out. You were reaching out. It was in your cume file that you were reaching out, and they didn't support. So what can parents do to make sure things like that don't happen? I know we're going to go more in depth in a few weeks, but what can parents do to make sure they don't fall between the cracks?
Like Miss Sarah said, fight like hell. Fight like your children's life depend on it. And the thing is, I did fight, right? I fought. The difference was I fought by myself. That's advocacy, but it's not effective. And what we're doing here in Nashville and what we're doing in Memphis is we building a movement. See, there's a difference between advocacy and movement building, and that's what we're doing. Yeah, I fought for my child. Some people, when we first came out back in 2018, somebody asked me, and they tried to belittle me, right, and say, "Well, how you didn't know what grade your child was reading on?" And so I had to address the ignorance and say, that means you don't know enough about reading because he sounds fine, right? It's not about what they sound. Sometimes it's about them being able to decode. Sometimes it's about them being able to comprehend certain things. And so parents, we're educating parents. We just did a speaker series earlier in the year about the science of reading. There's a whole science to reading that parents don't even know about. And this is what I tell parents. When somebody tells you that your child is reading on grade level, it just might be a damn lie. So you need to question everything, and you need to question everybody until you get the truth. So that's my advice.
And Sarah, what have you seen just with advocacy in Memphis? The Memphis Lift has been around, I saw, since 2015. What have been some of the major victories that you guys have had on behalf of parents?
I think we being heard, but we're not being heard the way we should be heard, John. I'm just going to be honest. Victories is when people listen to you and you see the action behind it, to me. We educating parents, that's for sure. Parents know what they didn't know. And I'm just bold enough to say, do they want us to know? No, they do not. No, they do not. The school system do not want us to know what's going on, because then we got some tools to fight with. So we educating parents, and parents are rising up like never before. What I see, especially before the pandemic, what I see I have never saw in my life. I stood in front of school by myself. Every school in my neighborhood was failing. The elementary, the middle, and the high school was failing. And I stood up in a room and said, I want to see something change. And I look back now, because of that, and Kentoria is the first in 4 generations to graduate from college. If I never had fought, Kentoria probably wouldn't have never went to college. Growing up, I thought you had to be rich to go to college. All you seen on commercials on those black and white TVs was save for your child's college fund. I knew my mom couldn't save nothing because she was trying to make ends meet. So walking in this new school that came to our community, all they was talking about was college. And they made me believe. So when they changed my mindset, I went and changed Kentoria's mama mindset, and her mama changed her mindset that you can go to college. And she went and she graduated. So y'all, we got so much work to do. And it's bold work. Yeah. And you can't be afraid to do this work. Don't you know, if Dr. King was afraid, where we'll still be right now?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
If you know, if John Lewis was afraid, where we would still be right now.
That's right.
We cannot be afraid. And y'all, I'm afraid we're gonna have to fight like hell about knowing where our kids are. And that's a right, I feel like. And everybody know from Nashville to Memphis know it's a right that parents should have. And guess what? They really already got, like you said, Sonya, some of this stuff in place. They just don't want to do it because we asking for it, I feel like.
Yeah.
I believe they be ego tripping. They be ego tripping, really.
Yeah.
Like they ask for. I mean, if you ever went up against any of these people, y'all, and I find that if you go back and ask for something, they not gonna give it to you. Not just like that.
No.
If you had to fight them on any level about what's right for your children, they hold them grudges. I feel like, and when you go back with something else, they don't even hear you. That's the way I feel now. I'm mad as hell right now because I haven't heard from no school board members, haven't heard from the Education Commission in Nashville, haven't even heard back from the Black Caucus, and I hope all of them listening. I shared it on my page. I'm not afraid, and this is unafraid work. We talk to all these people that look like us, John. Most of them look like us, Sonya. And you think they want things to change in the Black community, Black and brown community. But right now I'm talking about North Memphis and South Memphis and Fraser and where Black people are being underserved.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it, and I said, what is it? Because it doesn't line up, right? You got to make things make sense. I love it. Make it make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense.
Yeah, make it make sense because, I know that people don't wake up in the morning and say they want to fail children, right? I mean, you got some people that's maniacs that may be a small number, right? But for the most part, I don't believe that anybody who works in education and who the stakeholders, like that they wake up in the morning and say they want to fail children. What I do know, as I'm learning this work, I'm finding that people don't want to relinquish their privileged sovereign power. And so that goes back, and the reason why I say that is because we came up with this idea of an individualized learning plan, right? Very powerful, very game-changing idea. We talked to the former Secretary of State, Arnie Duncan, Robin Lake, like Ms. Sarah. We talked to all these people, Kevin Huffman. We have talked to education experts. We have done the analysis and the research on this, but yet and still, like you said, in Memphis, you got people that's not responding. In Nashville, they're responding now, but we already know it's about people relinquishing their sovereign power, and they don't want to relinquish it to parents. But I say to them, this is not about your power. This is about saving our children's lives. So forget your power. The education system ultimately belongs to parents and children. So put the politics aside, look at us in the eyes and say, you know what? That thing may very well work, and let's work together and let's get it done. And let's finally leave a legacy that we really change children's lives. Because here in Tennessee, the literacy rates have not improved in 15 years. So why we keep doing the same bullshit? It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. And so one thing that we want to do is we close out, like we want to ask a question to the parents and the viewers. We usually do rapid response amongst ourselves, but we want to do it with you guys. And I think one of the questions, just listening to you guys, do you believe parents and grandparents need more support for virtual learning? And I'll ask again, do you believe parents and grandparents need more support for virtual learning? And as we get those in, Sarah, if you can just give out the Memphis Lift, the social media stuff, just in case they want to follow you guys on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and then I'll see what parents are responding to around the question of the day.
The Memphis Lift. You can go to our website, our Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter. The Memphis Lift. John, I'm gonna answer right quick before you go to the viewers. Hell yeah. I'm speaking from experience this morning, just a little time out of hand. Hell yeah, we need help.
Okay. Yep. Yvonne says, yep, this is real dialogue. Kanisha says, absolutely. Brandon, and Celeste says, absolutely. We got Ayana Moore. She says, yes, I think parents and grandparents need more assistance with virtual learning. So it's a trend here. And then last, Visha has just posted the social media stuff for Memphis Lift.
Thank you, Visha.
Yeah, thank you. I also want to say for you guys to follow us on our national network, Facebook, PPN, the Powerful Parent Network on Facebook too, where you can follow Miss Sarah and myself and some other leaders from around the country about these same things. I'm gonna answer that question. Hell to the yeah. Like, man, like, let me tell you something. Like, let's just be real. And this is what I try to tell people in the district. We have parents who struggle to read themselves. We have parents and grandparents who don't even know how to turn on a computer. Why? Because there's a digital divide. Okay, the digital divide is just it's so freaking real. If it was a snake, it would bite us, right? And it's like they don't understand like our community. Like, we doing the real work. Me and Miss Sarah laugh about that term. We doing the real work by talking to parents and actually like giving them a space to be vulnerable and say, I don't even know how to do an email. Mm-hmm. And so we got a school district that is communicating via email when folk don't even know how. See, in the hood, somebody liable to set up an email address up for you just to connect you to something. Mm-hmm. Get some coupons or something. Mm-hmm. And you might not even touch the email address ever again. Or they're overloading information like on Facebook or overloading on their website. And so people are getting information overload and they don't know which direction to go. But you only learn that stuff by talking to real parents.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this has been good. I mean, and thank you guys for chiming in. One thing we want to do, Sonya, I'm going to take you to the closing if you want to just close us out. But again, like, be sure to follow the Memphis Lift on social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Definitely follow Propel. It's just Natural Propel on all platforms just to make it easy. And I just really appreciate the commentary from the two of you. You know, Sarah, you've been doing this work since, officially with the Memphis Lift since 2015. But again, your living legend is you stood out in front of a school by yourself, holding up a sign until they did better or they end up getting shut down.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for y'all inviting me. It's this little first graders lunchtime, and that's the best thing I heard today. Like, it's lunchtime, so cool. Yep. It's lunchtime, but she got to go back to their computer, y'all. And I promise somebody's gonna have to sit with these babies, y'all. And I thought I could do it, but I'm working from home, and I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, not unless they give us extra money. Like, they need to pay us.
Yep. Or they need to open up these churches and do something. Every parent in Memphis, from Memphis to Nashville, and I seen somebody on here with a child going back to Kyville High. That's that $95 million school I was talking about. And she said they need help. So if they need help, they know damn well we need help.
Yeah.
Because they got all the resources.
Yeah.
Come on now. Yeah, so then the question is it always just about resources? No. That's why I hate that song. You ain't got no money.
And I agree, Sonya, it's not always about resources. It's about helping parents do what they need to do at home, and school and home working together. And I promise you, our kids, either our kids gonna get murdered on the street or murdered in the school without knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, come on now.
And that's just the way I feel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then they wonder why our young people protesting all over the country. Because hell, don't nobody listen to them.
All right.
And ain't nobody listen to us for decades.
That's right. Well, I'll go ahead and close us out on that note. And I just want to say this, like, thank you, Miss Sarah, for, I call you the mother of the movement. Like, you are my mentor. You my idol. You my idol in the movement. I call Miss Sarah out sometimes at 1 o'clock in the morning, and just because I just need her infinite wisdom. And so I appreciate all of the ground you have laid and the path you have paved for us to do this work here in Nashville. Just really grateful for that, and looking forward for us doing some great things together right here in the state of Tennessee. We're gonna do this. Like Sarah's fight and my relentlessness, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna change things right here in Nashville, right there in Memphis, and right here in the state of Tennessee. But parents, I just want to say to you guys, we need you guys. We can't do this work by ourselves. Ain't no way. We got to do this work together. With all this power, with all this, man, the folk is afraid. I'm just gonna tell y'all something. They don't want to.
You know what? I gotta say hi to Ayana Moore. That's my little cousin. And I think about even up in Tennessee, son, in the middle part, like those little rural counties. Can you imagine what the hell is going on in the rural counties that nobody talk about? I know because my family are in those rural counties. Yeah. So I mean, we just need everybody helping us fight.
Everybody.
And when we make it better for all kids, we make it better for rich, poor, black, white, Hispanic. We make it better for all kids. That's what we fight for.
That's right.
So I'm grateful again, Sonia, for the invite. We got to speak our truth, and speaking truth, we got to put some action behind it.
That's right.
Some real bold action, I promise you.
That's right. Some radical action.
Yeah.
That's the thing people don't understand. But I want to say to our parents, there's some things coming up in the pipeline too. There's a EE for exceptional learners town hall that's going to be on August the 20th. Shout out to Tiffany Acuff for coordinating that. So make sure that you guys who have children who are exceptional learners, who are gifted learners, who are people that I believe that have the most genius but just need some accommodation. Make sure that you are attending that town hall. Nashville Propel will be organizing parents. Tiffany Acuff, we're going to organize parents. We're going to have at least 30 parents there. May have more, but 30 off the top of my head that I can think of that we know we're going to get locked in there, so we can get locked and cocked into knowing what we need to do for our exceptional learners. Also, if you guys could check out What the Words Say. It is a documentary that was written by AMP reporter Emily Hanford, who tells the story of Black and brown children and the unheard voices as far as literacy and how we're not being listened to, how we're not being taught to read properly. A lot of white parents have been highlighted about their children having dyslexia, and Emily made the bold decision to talk about what is happening in our community. I'm thankful to her for highlighting the story of my son and the story of others. We have our own Visha Hawkins, who starts the story off, who is a very good storyteller. And then we have Dr. Zach Barnes, who has worked with me over the last few months to investigate and do the research on my son, and who has brought the receipts for my story. Because folk look at us and think we lying when we say that certain stuff happened to us, but it's really real. And the thing is, it's not my story. This is what I know. It's not just my story. It's the story of thousands of parents right here in this city that this is happening to. So I appreciate Emily allowing me to be vulnerable, to tell my truth, and to highlight what's going on in our struggling communities. So join us again on next Wednesday for our Access Denied show. It's going to be just as good as this one. Just like and share this video from today, and I will see you guys next week. Love you.